I could tell that something was wrong. I was standing at the back of the sanctuary greeting people as they left the service after our annual water ceremony, and I could see Brett approaching with that look on his face, saying, "I have something I need to talk to you about." Now, that face can be caused by many things over the course of any given worship service, and especially on the Sundays where we perform our most tender and sacred rituals. Despite their beauty and joy, those are the sticky moments in our collective lives. If nothing else, an annual ritual will eventually accumulate the weight of sorrows attached and joys remembered, or even just the fact of many of them having passed and our lives and capacities changing. So I imagined various things that Brett might be concerned about that Sunday morning. And then he said, "But what do we do with the water?" Not what I was expecting. But what do we do with the water? You see, Brett had been sitting in the service, and every time someone came up and shared water from some far-flung location or from their local tap, all he could think was, "Those don't belong in our local water system. What if we are introducing microorganisms that ought not to be there into our local flora and fauna?" And every person pouring the water made this anxiety rise further and further, so that when he got to me, all he could say was, "But what do we do with the water?" Good question. Never actually thought to ask. But someone surely would know. So Brett and I went and found the person who was in charge of what we do with the water, and just because I didn't have a plan didn't mean that no one had a plan, which is the beauty of collective life. Someone usually has a plan. Sometimes we have multiple plans that don't agree with each other. And I learned that after our water ceremony every year, someone took the time to boil the water and add one tiny drop of bleach, just in case, before we bottled it to use for the next year, and then put the rest in our local flora and fauna. I was glad that this particular church crisis was so easily solved. They often are not. But it stuck with me. I think about Brett and his water a lot. Because if you had asked me to list the top 10 things someone might be distressed about during the water service, but what do we do with the water wouldn't have even made the list, because I wouldn't have ever thought of it. When I think about worship, I think about feelings and words and spirit, not microorganisms. Brett and I quite literally do not think alike. There is a famous and misattributed quotation from supposedly from one of our Transylvanian forefathers that says, "We need not think alike to love alike." We talk about this often when we're talking about having different beliefs from one another. But Brett reminded me that actually, literally, we think differently. Even those of us who came to the same conclusions got there in all sorts of ways. We bring our ways of thinking and ways of being in unexpected ways. On any given Sunday, there's someone thinking some variation of, "But what about the water?" On this Sunday, on this ingathering Sunday, we literalize that we're bringing ourselves here. We bring water and we bring stones from our backyards and from our journeys, from mountains and streams and gloriously, hopefully clean public sources of water. We are grateful for that every day. We bring them to remind ourselves how we got here and where we have been. The original water ceremony was not actually held Sunday morning in someone's home church. It was held at a conference. People were coming from their homes, and so they brought water from the places they had been to share who they were and where they were from. Well, we do that when we take water from our journeys. We bring them to this place as a reminder of who we are, where we have been, and how we got here. For every summit crested, there's the story of the person you made it to the summit with. For every place visited, there is the love that got you there. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to come forward with your water and with your stones. And if you did not bring them, or if you, like Brett, do not like to travel with water from other waterways, we have water and stones on the table for you. And I would remind you that they go water in the glass container, stones on the platter. Nothing disturbs the metaphor like breaking the glass, because we've dropped too many stones in there. To bring them forward, to create this place where we are actually made stronger by the ways that the things that we share, but also the things that make us different. The places we've been that no one else has, the thoughts we have had that wouldn't have occurred to anyone else. You may also hand me or Wako your card of concern if you would like. So please come, help us build our water together. Help us make the story manifest.